Um, Real quick, what I want to talk about is ownership of intellectual property. And, there's two ways I think about it. One is the legality, copyrights and things like that. And I'm not really going to talk much about that because you can figure that out pretty easily by just looking it up. But it's interesting to be a ghostwriter, and I have never really cared that much about the intellectual property rights for myself. I know other ghostwriters that care a lot and they won't do it. They'll retain ownership and license it out. I've just never wanted to bother with that. I feel like everything I write, I'm sure the thing after that is probably going to be better because I'm learning every time I write. And so I'm happy to see it go away and let somebody else use it for whatever they want to use it for. Let God use it for whatever he wants to use it for. So I haven't worried too much about that personally, but a lot of people do. I had somebody talk to me yesterday for 5 minutes and told me three titles they had in mind, and didn't really even tell me much about it, and then emailed me today to make sure that I was going to protect their ideas. And I'm like, if you only knew how rare it is for people to actually take someone else's idea and then go write a whole book about it, and then it be anything like what you had in mind. But okay, I won't tell anybody your title ideas. Titles aren't copyrightable anyway. But the the thing I'm most interested in thinking about is ownership of the things that we say, the ideas that we have, and the thoughts that we have, and then the fact that we said it. And I started thinking about this when I was a part of that network of churches that had turned fairly cultish, and you guys have heard me talk about it and probably seen me write about it. And when survivors of this network of spiritually abusive churches were starting to uh, realize they were not alone, they started to talk, but they mostly talked anonymously, for whatever, for one reason or another. Somebody made a website dedicated to the survivors of this network, and I think because I had a prominent place in the network at one point, some people thought that it was me that made it. And then a lot of people were writing on Reddit, which is you're anonymous unless you don't want to be when you're writing on Reddit. And so a lot of people thought that it was me writing, and it wasn't. So I thought about it and prayed about it and decided. I talked to the guy that made the website, and I just said, I'm going to write an article about biblical leadership, which is what my beef was with the way that they operated. And I want you to put it on the website, and I want you to put my name on it. And on Reddit to this day, I'm not techie enough to figure out how to change my name. My name on Reddit is Proof Elk. It's the name they gave me when I signed up. But I did figure out how to put my picture on it. So at least people that know me will at least know that it's me, because I don't love the anonymous writing. I don't love the anonymity of writing on social media and trolling people that you don't really know. Even if you're not anonymous, you kind of are if nobody knows you. Um, what I value, especially in the mission that we have to see people publish the truth and put it out there in front of people to dispute even, or deal with, is that very thing. I value people taking responsibility for their thoughts, and people taking responsibility for the words that they say and they put out. So that people could really think deeply, really actually truly in their bones in a holistic way believe something, and then be willing to go out and say it, knowing that, half the people are going to hate it and they're going to argue with you or tear you down or misconstrue you. So it makes me think about ownership. And as Christians, we don't like to say we own anything because, on one sense, it's true to say that God owns everything and that we don't own anything, and that we're stewards and managers of the things that he gives us, and maybe even our words and intellectual property. But there is something important about identity that comes into play when it comes to taking responsibility for what you're saying. I don't try to get identity from anything that I own. That would be almost idolatry as a Christian, right? But in some ways, everything that I own gets its identity from me. Like I stamp my name on it. And in one sense, it's mine. Not everything that's mine is God's. So in a very real sense, it's God's. But compared to somebody else, and the reason I think that that's important has to do with the reason that I think God had two of the Ten Commandments. One is life is precious, thou shalt not murder. And the other is you shall not steal somebody's stuff. And I think those one is a derivative of the other, meaning if I take something from you that you've put your stamp on and your name on, I'm taking something away from your life. Um, Now that might that for me to deal with that, God might want that to happen to me, and I might have to deal with that and hold my things with an open hand. But as far as your heart goes, for you to take what's mine, the things that I have that God has given to me to own, that is to steward, He's given to me to use for my life, and also as Jody would teach us to use as God's um, manager to give away, but it's us giving it away. It's us making the decision to steward it in that way. It's not someone else's decision to take it away from me. And it's the same way with our words. So I think there's something very important about like once something becomes yours, that's why I think there's something godly and Romans 13-ish in contract law and the concept of rights and ownership and that kind of thing. Um, but it is a it is a powerful thing to take ownership of an idea or a statement or a whole book of statements. That's a very, very powerful thing that you're doing when you go out and you speak or you write something into the world. And that means you don't do it haphazardly. We think very deeply about what we think and what we're going to write and what we're going to say because it goes out with our name on it. It's very hard to undo. It's not impossible. You can repent, you can change your mind, but Abby and I were working this week on a publishing promotion type project for a client. And one of the things we were evaluating a promotion company, and one of the things they did was press releases. And I remember that when we when you start a business or something, you can do a press release and do a doing business as kind of thing. And there's like this public proclamation, like you're saying it. And when you say it into existence and you say to the world, I own this or I'm doing this. So I I hate to be so high level and not bring it down to earth and say, therefore go do this. But if I'm gonna say therefore go do this, I'm saying there be very, very careful what you say and what you write and very aware of the permanence of words and the power of taking responsibility for what you think so far that you actually put it out there. Okay.